Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into something really fundamental, the real reason why our minds sometimes just hurt, why they feel so sick and overwhelmed.
You know that feeling? When it feels like your mind is just sick or aching. Let's start there. Picture this. You're in a game of tug-of-war, and you're on one side, just desperately clinging to this rough, scratchy rope. The force on the other end is just immense. And all you're trying to do is not let go, right? Even though your hands are burning and your whole body is just straining.
So where's that pain really coming from? It's not the person on the other side, is it? Nope. It's coming from your own grip, from the simple act of holding on for dear life. And here's the kicker. Our minds work in the exact same way. So this mental tug-of-war, this feeling of suffering and just being completely worn out, it actually has a name. And just understanding what it is, well, that's the first step to feeling better.
Okay, so in some of the earliest Buddhist texts, this state is called Dukkha. Now don't get hung up on the word. Just think of it like a deep, nagging ache in your mind. It's that feeling of being mentally unwell that pops up when we're clinging onto something way, way too tightly.
Right. So if dukkha is the pain we feel from holding the rope, then what in the world is on the other end? What is this unstoppable force we're pulling against that's creating all this friction?
Well, it turns out there's one absolute, unchangeable rule in this world. It's a law that's just as fundamental as gravity. It governs everything. I mean everything, from the clouds floating by to the ice cream melting in your hand. And yeah, even our own moods that swing back and forth.
And this absolute law, it's called anicca. It's a really simple idea, but it's also incredibly profound. It's the universal truth that everything, and I mean everything, changes. Everything is in a constant state of flux. Nothing ever stays the same.
So, okay, we've got this universal law of constant change, anicca. It's just how the world works. But here's the problem. There's a part of our mind that absolutely hates this rule. It just refuses to play along.
So, let's meet the pilot of this resistance, shall we? We can call it Ma. Think of it like this, greedy little operator inside your head that just loves running around and slapping mind stickers on everything. It's trying to claim ownership over a world that, by its very nature, is just flowing away like water in a river.
You know, the Buddha had this perfect metaphor for this whole struggle. He said it's like trying to fill a broken jar with water. I mean, think about it. No matter how hard you try, how much water you pour in, it just keeps leaking out. And that pointless, exhausting effort, that's the real source of our mental strain. And that just illustrates it perfectly, doesn't it? Our suffering, this dukkha, it's not some random punishment from the universe. It's not bad luck. It is simply the frictional heat that's created when our own desire to hold on clashes with the reality that everything changes.
So here's the really crucial point. When we feel those tough emotions, anger, sadness, that constant irritation, those aren't the problem itself. They're just the symptoms of that friction. They're basically the mental version of your hands burning in that tug-of-war.
All right, so how do we fix this? How do we treat this mental sickness and stop all this painful friction? Well, the answer, believe it or not, is surprisingly simple. Let's go back to that tug-of-war. What happens the moment you decide to just let go of the rope? The pain stops, right? Instantly. See, we don't have to win the fight against change. We just have to realize we're holding the rope in the first place, and then choose to loosen our grip.
So here's something you can actually try. It's a little exercise. The next time you feel that mental ache starting up, just pause for a second and ask yourself this one question. Am I trying to put a permanent mind sticker on something that's supposed to change?
And you know what? A lot of the time, just doing that, just acknowledging reality and admitting to yourself, oh, right, the world is supposed to change, and I was the one trying to hold on. That's enough. In that very moment of recognition, you can feel the mind's clenched fist start to relax. The tension just melts away. So this pain we feel, it's not really our fault, is it? It's just what happens when we clumsily try to hold on to a flowing river. But what happens when it's dark and we can't even see that we're holding the rope?
Okay, so we're starting to get the why behind our mental pain, right? We understand the clash between our clinging and the world's constant change. But just letting go isn't always that easy. I mean, how do we learn to see that rope clearly, especially when we feel like we're lost in the dark, totally overwhelmed by our emotions?
Yeah, for that, we're going to need another tool, a special one. We need something like a powerful flashlight,
one that can cut through the darkness in our own minds and help us finally see how to untangle these knots of suffering for good.
And that is exactly what we are going to get into in our next explainer. We're going to learn how to turn on and use this flashlight of wisdom, which is called pen. It's the tool that can bring us real, lasting clarity. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll see you then.